Welcome to the second lecture on paleobotany. This is on types of fossilization based on their mode of preservation. So there are various types of fossils based on how they are preserved, like the petrifaction, the compression, orthogenic preservations that are of three types, like casts and incrustations, impressions, and molds. Then it comes the mummification, duripartic fossils, and fusionized fossils. And there is another called ichnofossils. So we will talk about each of them one by one. So let's begin with petrifaction. Petrifaction, as the name suggests, it's a process of stonification, transformation into stone. It literally means the plant material which is being after death, when it is being preserved, it is gradually being transformed into a very solid material, that is stone-like structure. But interesting thing is that this type of fossil, it keeps the anatomical details, cellular details of the object, of the plant material. So what happens, it's a process of permineralization, that minerals get infiltrated or impregnated within the fossil. When the plant part falls, it gets waterlogged somewhere. Preservation occurs generally in a waterlogged environment. So the plant gets waterlogged immediately, otherwise it will decompose. So after waterlogging, infiltration of mineral elements starts into the cells and the intercellular spaces. And various kinds of minerals like calcium carbonate, hydrated iron oxides or iron sulfides, or maybe silica, will get impregnated within the tissue and will get solidified over there, will precipitate over there, and forming different kinds of fossils. Silicified fossil is the most common among them, that is the petrified wood that is formed by silicification, but there are pyritized fossils, limonitized fossils, and then there are calcified fossils. The coal balls are the best example of that. So perminerization process occurs by different minerals, as I mentioned. Most common, as the best known, that is the most studied material, is the silicified, and different kinds of silica material that are deposited are opal A, opal C, chalcedony, or quartz. But the less familiar, relatively less common fossilization also occurs with non-silica materials like the calcite, the apatite, iron pyrites, siderites, etc., etc. So, but whatever the case may be, the fossilization process is dependent on some common factors, like the dissolved elements that are present where the fossilization is taking place, the pH of the environment, the electrical conductivity, the reduction potential of that environment, and the burial temperature. These factors control the overall process of petrifaction. Then the permeability of the tissue is also very important. Fossilization might occur in one episode or may occur in several episodes. Means while the process is taking place, some part of petrifaction or permineralization occurred in a certain period of time. Then the plant material got disturbed by geological or physical phenomena. It moved its place to some other waterlogged environment where the minerals were different. So this time the deposition will be, infiltration will be of different kind of minerals. So when precipitation occurs in several episodes, you might get several different kinds of minerals inside a petrified fossil. So this is what is petrifaction is. Coal ball is yet another type of petrified fossil. Coal balls are made up of calcium carbonate. These are calcite fossils, as we mentioned earlier. So they are basically ball-like rounded structure, not exactly rounded but somewhat rounded, and they are usually found in the pits of Carboniferous and Permian deposits, and they contain within them, there are fossils get embedded within them. So if you cut across a coal ball, you will get several different kinds of fossils. Here is a picture given of a cross section taken from Stewart and Rothwell's book, 1993. This picture shows several cross sections of different specimens, like the branch of a lycopod tree, which is possibly the lepidodendron, and there are stem sections of Stipitopteris, and then Calistophyton rather, and then Stipitopteris is the leaf base foliar member that is being shown here. And you also get Paralycopoditis. There are Lepidostrobus cones are there, Lepidocarpon cones are the Lepidostrobus, the strobilus is there. So Lepidocarpon ovule is there. So a single coal ball might contain several different materials that get embedded within them and preserved. So now talking about orthogenic preservation or cementation. It's basically cementation, and it preserves the surface feature only. Here you don't get any cellular detail, neither any carbon material of the plant or animal, whatever the organ may be. The preservation is solely a kind of an impression, so it gives a basically the surface feature of this specimen. What happens when the plant material falls on the ground and it starts decaying? It generates electrical charges, and these charges attract oppositely charged mineral ions, and these mineral ions get accumulated and gradually become solidified or cemented over there. So if the material is a flattened object, then the sedimentation occur layer after layer, and when it will solidify, when you split it open, it will reveal the surface feature, the imprint of that specimen, and this is called the impression. So impression is basically the negative imprint of a flattened two-dimensional objects like leaves and sporophylls. Examples are like Sphenopteris or Neuropteris, or maybe Schizoneuron, Schizoneura, Ranigenzia. There are many such. The leaves get preserved in this manner. Usually you get the venation pattern. You also sometimes get the epidermal hairs, indications of epidermal hairs or stomata over the surface. But there is no carbon left in the material. Another example is the molds or casts. Molds and casts can better be understood by this diagram, this picture, and both are formed together. What happens when a plant dies? It might get decomposed, or if preservation is taking place, then what might happen that the lower portion will get covered by different kinds of mineral matters, and that will get solidified in the course of time. It will become cemented or lithified. Then what will happen? The upper portion might get fragmented and lost. The lower portion, which you might call stump, the stump will get embedded within a you can say a rock-like material, and in the course of time, the plant tissue will decompose. It will gradually decompose, and it will leave a hollow space inside. This hollow cavity is the mold. This hollow cavity is just like when you are metal casting or wax casting the particular hollow statue or the shape within which you do the casting. So this is the mold, and this may also get fragmented, and you might get a fragment piece of that somewhere as a fossil. That is a mold fossil. But it might happen that in the long run, some other type of material from some different source, it enters within the cavity and gradually fills the cavity and becomes solidified over there. And now this becomes more solid than the external part, and in the course of time, the external part becomes peeled off or eroded. So what is left is the cast. This is called cast. So this is the exact replica of the original plant material or the plant body. Here you will get the surface features which are positive imprint. The other ones, that like the impression and the mold, they reveal the negative imprint of the specimen. So these are impression, casts, and molds. Cast is also called incrustation. Here are some examples given. I'm holding a piece of rock which contains the impression of Glossopteris leaf. This has been collected from a nearby colliery called Kali Pahari near Asansol. And we used to visit such places because I live in an area where there are several collieries out there. This is Raniganj coalfield area of West Bengal. So this one is a cast of Stigmaria. Stigmaria is the rhizophore of lepidodendron tree, and this one is a Glossopteris impression once again, and but this one is the lepidodendron stem. This is mold. This is a mold piece. Here the depressions are actually the elevations in the stem. So these are the leaf bases that are being exhibited by this mold, and this one is the vertebraria root of Glossopteris plant. So these are some examples of orthogenic preservations. Now talking about compression. Compression, as the name suggests, this is a compressed material. What happens after falling on the ground? It will be definitely layered by sedimentation, sedimentary rock, and then the material will get compressed. A rounded body will become flattened. So it will be difficult to say that what was the actual structure after getting a fossil of this type. You will not be able to say what was the actual shape. Sometimes you might infer, or most of the time you will fail. So what happens when it gets compressed? It's the cytoplasm, the liquid material that is present inside the cells or tissues, that get squeezed out, and what is left is a carbonaceous film of the material. So usually you get on one side of the specimen you get the compression, on the other side of the specimen rock surface you get the impression. Compression, impression, they are found together most of the time, quite always, if it is not lost. So if you get a like this one is a clay nodule, is kind of a structure within which it's made of clay, and it's kind of a structure, flattened body, which is striated. That means there are layers on that, and if you split it open, it will reveal, if there is an fossil inside, it will reveal a kind of fossil. On one side it will reveal the compression, on the other side it will reveal an impression. This is an example of Glossopteris leaf. Here you are getting the left one is impression, and the darker one is the compression, the right one. So impression and compression, they both come together. The only difference is this: the compression has the carbonaceous film left. Impression does not have anything. It is basically cementation. Examples of some impressions are this one, the ginkgo that I showed the picture, and then the Metasequoia occidentalis leaves are there. Fertile fronts of Centenbergia are there. So I am citing this example so that you can write your answer whenever you are writing in your exam script. You can draw these diagrams also, how compression takes place. When the layers increase, when the sedimentation increases, the load increases, the compression force increases, and so the material gets more flattened and flattened. So whatever you are getting as a thin film of carbon, it might be a rounded structure. So it is very, very difficult to say what was the actual shape of the object. Now these were some very important types of fossils which are commonly discussed in the textbooks. Now some of the other fossil types are the duripartic fossils. These are the hard part preservations of the microorganisms, particularly the alga, cyanobacteria, silicified walls of the diatoms. So if it is made up of calcium carbonate, the algal cell wall, then it might get preserved in the river basin, or in the lake basin, or in the marine, or in the shoreline. So these kind of hard part preservations are called duripartic fossils. Diatomaceous earth can be an example of duripartic fossils. Fusionized fossil is due to the forest fire. Sometimes due to forest fire, some small parts like flower buds or fruits, they might get charred, and they will be preserved as it is because there is no living material left over there. It immediately dies, but the shape of the material sometimes gets preserved as it is with some modification. Here is a diagram given, a picture given of a flower bud of Sylvianthemum. It was formed by charring the forest due to forest fire. So this is one example of fusionized fossil. Another one is this mummification in amber. Mummification, as the name suggests, it's natural mummification, not artificial by human being. Sometimes the whole body of the organism, like this, the mammoths, the giant elephants that got preserved inside the Siberian ice. And so usually they are preserved in an environment where there is very minimum decomposition or degradation process by microbes, like the cryo conditions of the Siberia or Atlantic or Antarctic region, where always the earth's surface is covered by ice, the snow line areas. So those areas will have organisms embedded within them. Those which died there, they will remain as it is for. So once they get embedded within that, they will remain for thousands of years as it is. So those are mummification. Even some lakes which are highly bogged lakes are there, which have highly acidic environment. So microbial activity is very, very minimum, and in the basin, in the underground level, the anaerobic environment does not allow any microorganisms to grow. The pressure is very high. That's why. So under that situation also, some whole body preservation might occur. Those are called mummification. Another example is this amber and objects preserved within the amber. Those are also, some insects will get preserved within amber. Amber is a resin. It is fossil resin produced by the coniferous plants of that time. One example is this Pinus succinifera. Here is the picture being shown that shows that how resin is being extruded from the stem. This is of a living pinus tree, and the Pinus succinifera is extinct now. So this is how resins are released from the stem or the branches, and they fall on the ground. When they fall on the ground, they become solidified, and in the meantime, because they are gel-like, they will definitely embed some flower part or leaf part, or maybe some small structures, whatever maybe is there, some insect. So that will get embedded within that. So this is an example of a fossil within a fossil, because amber itself is a fossil, and the material which is getting embedded within this is also a fossil. So it's an example of fossil within a fossil. So these are some types of fossilization. Now talking about ichnofossils are trace fossils. They are basically modifications or alterations made on the earth crust, on the earth's surface, in the soil layer, you can say, by the small organisms like nematodes, the annelids, arthropods, these kind of insects. They make holes and burrows and borings and different kinds. The bigger animals also, they also live in the soil, making different kinds of dens and other structures. Those might get preserved by some mechanism as it is, and those are also one type of fossil. As the fossil definition says, there's any evidence of life forms. It may be a trace, it may be a trail of an animal, track of an animal, the burrows of an animal. So these are called, these trace fossils, these are called trace fossils, also called ichnofossils, ICHNO fossils. So this was a video lecture on types of fossilization. I believe this completes the whole all different types of fossils that are included in the textbooks and the reference books, and it will complete your answer. Hope you will like this. Please press the like button and share this video to your friends, and subscribe the channel for its promotion. I will make more such videos for you. Thanks for watching.